A warm welcome to all of you and a heartfelt namaste. I, Anuradha Sharda, would like to thank all of you for watching our videos, liking our videos, writing in your comments and your suggestions. In one of the previous transit videos, we had talked about Ketu moving from Mula to Jeshta. Ketu's movement has a lot of impact for us on our charts because this transit is not only about crossing the Gandhanta, changing signs, but it is also about crossing the two nakshatras which are absolutely poles apart in their behavior and in their characteristics and their deliverance. Now we are going to, in this video, going to talk about Rahu's transit. The Ketu had a great impact and I have discussed it in a previous video. So if you haven't seen that video, please watch that video. But now today what we are going to talk about is Rahu's movement from Gemini to Taurus. The nakshatra remains the same. Houses change, signs changes, and also the elements change, which is again very impactful. When we talk about Ketu, Ketu talks about those elements of life which we have already learned, where we have our skills. Not that it doesn't ask us to learn something new, but that is about discussing in some other video. Today we are going to talk about Rahu in specific. Rahu is a deep desire and it is also a very strong learning curve in our lives. When Rahu transits a particular house, it brings forth certain issues that we need to understand, tackle, oblique learn, and then we can move ahead. It will definitely bring about those issues which were left incomplete in a previous transit cycle. So if there is certain thing about your say Rahu transiting your third house in this case, then certain issues relating to your brother sisters or certain creative activities that you should have taken completed in that time but could not do it, or certain short travels that you were needed to do but you did not, in such a case you will be doing, those situations will come in front of you and you will have to learn, do, finish those activities as you move ahead. So keeping that in mind, we move ahead, but let us also talk about Mrigasira. Today we are going to just discuss Rahu's transit into the second and the first pada of Mrigasira. We are going to talk about the symbol of Mrigasira in particular here. It is, Mriga means animal, and Mriga in terms of animal, a definitive animal is also a deer, and Sira means head. So it's a deer head that we're talking about. A deer are a very aware, very fidgety, very shy, but a very alert kind of species. They are also very very cautious about everything, and they love to be on the green pastures. So they keep in moving in search of greener and greener pastures. This is one thing that we need to learn. And when we're talking about the musk deer, which is found in the Himalayas, we understand the fact that the male deer musk has a scent or a very oily substance that it emanates from its belly, which is called the musk. And the male deer is unaware of this fact and keeps wandering all over trying to find the sense of smell because it is so enamored by its own smell. And this smell is something that even the female deer likes, because she gets attracted to a particular male because of his distinct musk. So we will see that there is a sense in when in Gemini, because that also is a flighty sign, it's an airy sign. And Rahu in Gemini is also very airy. Rahu itself is an airy planet, so there is a lot of confusion, there's a lot of air, detachment definitely, but also no stability. When there is less stability, a person wanders here and there without any focus, any goal, and there is a likelihood that the person is lost. The person may be having a great deal of talent, person can be really good at what he or she is doing, but may not recognize his her or her own talent, and can suffer on that account. But when it comes to the Rahu in Mrigasira, in this second and the first pada, which lies in the zone of Taurus, here the person, because the element here is earth, and it is also a fixed sign, giving certain amount of fixity to this airy Rahu, and stability also in its form, then we see that this Rahu performs much better. There is a certain amount of ability for the person to sit, ponder, move inward, and work on that faith that the person does have it within him to do good, to reach great heights. And with that belief, when a person is working, the person does a great job. So I will be showing you two examples on that before we continue, of how this Rahu is going to behave for us in all the lagnas. So I take the example, the first example that I take for you is that of Vincent van Gogh. Van Gogh has been one of the greatest of the painters in Europe, has been known, greatly known for his for the person that he is, and that has uh, you know uh, made sure that his paintings are selling at a, I mean, it's fantabulous prices, millions, and billions, that kind of money that his paintings command. But he died a pauper. He died in abject poverty, because though his paintings were good, he did not have that faith in himself. He was looking for outside confirmation, outside appreciation, which he did not get at that time. And he was really very upset. He had a lot of problems, psychological issues, and he had to be hospitalized many a times, and in deep abject psychological issues, he also committed suicide. There was a lot of things that underwent. And also we need to see that Rahu here is on his lagna. It has a strong hold over him. Converse to this, we move on to the chart of Sylvester Stallone. In Sylvester Stallone's chart, Rahu is there in the sixth house, and sixth house again is a part of the Upachaya house. So Rahu here gains a lot of clout. Rahu in the 6, 3, 6, 10, 11 houses is also good. And being in the earth sign, it is said about Sylvester Stallone, he himself has written this in his interviews, that when he started with his Rocky performance, he didn't have much. In fact, he was at his rock bottom, and he just had his faith in Christ, and he knew that he could do it, and he finally did it. So this is the difference that you would find the transit of Rahu in these two different signs. If we can understand this difference and we can put it to our transit, it would be very easy for us to know how to behave, and we can make a great going. With this, let us move on to Aries in the sign of for the Aries lagna. For the Aries lagna, this Rahu transits into the nakshatra in this to the nakshatra of Mrigasira in the second house. The second house is typically about your family, about your wealth, and your education, to say the very least. It is also about your eating habits. So these are the few things that, amongst so many others, that you need to concentrate on. What are these? What can happen is you may be exposed to trying new palettes. You could be given situations where you would have to have faith that you will definitely find new source of earnings, and working on those faith, create ideas of how to generate more wealth. One area of education, if it closes for you, there are definite chances that you would be able to break through new ideas. Let's not forget, Rahu is also ideas, out of box ideas, and it is sitting right there in the house of your mind, your thought process, your senses, your so explore your senses in the right manner. Don't let your senses go haywire, because Rahu does have the ability to uh, take you here and there, and especially in Mrigasira, where the deer is always looking here and there, not stable. His head is not stable. So you need to stabilize yourself, know that you can do it, and go straight for seeing, understanding what in education you can pick up. Family situations could crop up which would be new to you, or there are things that had happened um, some 9 years ago, which or 18 years ago, which are now cropping up, and you need to take certain decisions. Those decisions can be different and should be different because they have to complete a certain situation. When you keep all these things in mind, this transit will give you a good deal of wealth, and it will settle you down before it starts moving towards Rohini, giving you growth and showing you new avenues of growth in many other directions, not just wealth, health, and family. So when we move to the Taurus sign, Rahu is right there on your ascendant in Mrigasira. The search here typically is more about yourself. There are few things that you want to understand. Why do you do them? What is it that makes you tick towards those things? Your health can be an area where you do need to focus your attention on. Again, Rahu, as I will and I have said earlier, and I will continue to say later, that is an out of box approach. It is definitely not a traditional approach. And as it is being aspected by Jupiter uh, after some time, so it will definitely give you a certain amount of growth and confidence, and it will teach you that you need to grow yourself in a particular direction regards your health. Try to see what you can do to make yourself fitter and your general vitality in a different way. Rahu in this house will also ask you to develop your personality. You need to see what you can do to put yourself uh, ahead of others, but don't be too rash, or don't do things that will kill your seventh house, that is your partnership issues or the way you interact with people. But learn that you are capable of developing more. It's an ideal time for self development, health development, and also looking through your luck and your friendships. It is actually a beginning of new era for you, at least for the next 19 years. So we move on to Rahu in Rahu for Gemini. Rahu for Gemini is passing through the 12th house and for the 12th house, and it has been a roller coaster ride for you in the last 1.5 years. Things have changed. Your way of looking things at things have changed. Your way of doing things has changed, and now you are uh, finishing certain closing certain chapters that you were not that you have not done so. And on these completions, on this completion, you will find that there are new things that will evolve, open up for you, because the 12th house is also the superconscious or the divinity. And if you can, and being aspected by Jupiter, this Rahu, or after December, when it would be aspected by Jupiter, you will find newer ways where you can connect with a lot of people, a lot of things, technology. Internationally you could connect, and you could be moving into a larger circle. Here Rahu would also be teaching you the art of donation. It would be teaching you that you could be going to certain places to to calm your mind, because with the turbulence that Rahu could have created in your mind when it was on your lagna and the 7th house, you need certain I time. You need to go within you. Need that isolation. So it's a good time to visit ashrams, and you could also benefit by giving charities to some uh, organization, especially hospitals. As Rahu for the Cancer Lagna moves into the 11th house encompasses a lot of things. You could be looking, you could be searching, the elusive search for name, fame, recognition that you had hoped for in the last 1.5 years, especially in the last 5 to 6 months, and it had been eluding you. You would find that this Rahu gives you ample opportunity to focus on that kind of activity. It will also give you an opportunity to move into bigger circles and to also expand your friendship circle base. It will give you name and fame also. My, if I can say, advice or my caution to you, I would simply tell you that you need to be very cautious on the kind of circles that you're moving in, or you need to be very cautious about the kind of friends that you're making, because sometimes you could be drawn towards things that could really harm you later on. So it could be a trap, so be aware of that trap also. Rahu in the uh, 11th house could give you lots of gains. It could bring you in contact with big enterprises. And before you sign those enterprises, uh, up sign up with those enterprises, have a good check on their background. But when you do have done your share of checkup and then you move ahead, Rohini and Rahu will make sure that you do have a great growth there, which is something that you've been wanting, aspecting, or expecting for a long, long time. As we move ahead with Rahu transiting into the sign for for the Leo Lagna, Rahu would be transiting into the 10th house. A good time to find a change in your career. It's also a good time to kind of look for the areas where you can improve in your karma also, because let's face it, the 10th house is not just your career and profession, it is your karma in totality. Many are things that you have not done in the past, or which have been lacking in the last cycle, can crop up for you, and you will definitely be having the ability to solve it. There is just a need to sit down, ponder, and see, getting the inside stable on a stable ground and then moving ahead. This Rahu could lead to a lot of wastage for you if you do not contemplate, or if you do not do some self searching. Again, this is also a period when you would be moving towards a newer or a different level of in your professional life. So there's a lot of hard work that this Rahu is looking for you to put in. And with Jupiter from December aspecting this Rahu, it would be really expansive a age, a period, and you should be cautious that you don't burn yourself out, because the when Rahu moves into Rohini, which we will be doing a different video after 3 to 4 months, you will see that there will be a distinct growth. So don't burn yourself out in the next 3 to 4 months itself. Uh, as we move forward to Rahu being in the 9th house for the Virgo Lagna, we see that luck comes in many forms. Virgo Lagna people are generally very hardworking people, and Rahu is also said to be the owner, or Swarashi is what many people say, that Rahu's Swarashi or something that it owns is also Virgo. Virgo is an earthy sign. These people are since these people are very particular and very practical, Rahu here tells you that you should be able to experiment a little, and there are many gifts that can come to you in many forms, in many ways, and you should be open to them. Typically, the 9th house is about your elders. The 9th house is also about your new home. It is about your uh, higher studies, and the sign of Taurus also talks about your family. It talks about your education. It also talks about the wealth and the things that you get. So Rahu in this house could be activating certain things in your life that you would have wanted to experiment on, be it on the educational front or be it on the family front, and they could be certain challenges in that area, but they could turn into gifts for you if you apply your mind properly to it. And we also, you would do good in the 9th house. It's generally the Ishta Devtas and and the Devis that we worship. So Rahu in the 9th house is telling you to not to forget to worship the Devi on a regular basis, and see the kind of gifts it unfolds in your life. she bestows to you in your life. Now when we're talking about Rahu in for Libra Lagna, Rahu for Libra Lagna is in the 8th house. The 8th house is again a fixed house for us. It is the house of searching, it is the house of sadhana, it is the house of uh, the inheritance one has. And as I have told earlier, Taurus depicts your in the Kalpurish Kundali, it also depicts your family and it also depicts your wealth. So Rahu could be bringing in certain amount of wealth all of a sudden for you by way of inheritance, or it could get inheritance issues right in front of you for you to take the right step. I use the word right step here because Rahu can create such situations where you can be drawn to taking what is wrong, moving towards what is wrong. But Rahu is here to teach you lesson of the past which you had not learned. So going by doing by what is right, and it's an artha sign, so it is also going to kind of take you towards monetary considerations. I would suggest that consider doing what is right, what is the dharma, instead of being attracted by the monetary favors. And then this Rahu, when it moves into Rohini, is definitely going to expand a certain lifestyle within you. Again, it is about the 8th house is about worshipping your ishta devta or devi, and Rahu is worshipped as the devata, and but it's a female sign. The 8th house is a female sign, so it's better to worship goddess Durga. And 8th house is also our the relatives from the spouse's side. So it would be advisable that one does not pick up fights with the females on that side of the family. It would be doing you a lot of good. We move ahead for Rahu for the Scorpio. For the Scorpio, the chart here is made with Sagittarius, but I'm talking about Scorpio Lagna. For the Scorpio Lagna, Rahu is in your 7th house, and on the ascendant is Ketu. As I had mentioned in my Ketu video, this is the period where a lot of things that you've already learned and the skills that you've used will be coming into the forefront, and you will be getting a chance to sharpen your skills. But Rahu in the 7th house has something to tell you. It is time to pay attention to your spouse and your partner. uh, when you pay attention to them, you will earn, you will learn a lot, and you will grow a lot. Otherwise, Rahu typically here will make sure in the Mrigasira nakshatra that what you're searching for eludes you. You will be probably wanting more, or there could be problems, severe problems on this front with because the 7th house and the financial house of the zodiac, the 2nd house, that is the sign of Taurus, could mean that you could be on a loss on that front. So it's best advised that you uh, do a good relationship with your spouse and partners. Also, the 7th house is about PhD, higher learnings. So people who are interested in traveling and doing their PhD in a different subject, this is a very very good time, especially for the people with Scorpio Lagna. New kind of learnings, an entire new platform of putting things forward, showcasing your talents is available to you. This time window is very nice for you to put things, and it will simply grow when Rahu passes through Rohini. So be firm, take a call, and make use of this period for a better manner. And be more compassionate towards your partners, both professional and personal. Coming to Sagittarius. When we talk about Sagittarius, Rahu is in the 6th house, transiting the 6th house. 6th house is the house of employees. It is also the house of battles, in the sense it is legal issues, rogue rin, or rogarina and ripu. That means your enemies, your health issues, and also your problems, your self generated problems, obstacles that you could have. So it's a good time to pay attention to your health. It's a real good time to pay attention to your health and inculcate some habits which are different and which will take you to a different level altogether. Otherwise, you could be facing some issues, health issues, never before like. And in the time of corona, I can say this with much more aplomb and much more confidence. So you really do need to inculcate a lot of good habits here. There are certain issues regarding debts or regarding enemies, and these enemies are from your past. These enemies could be from just a recent past or some other lifetime. Handle them with care and compassion and they will dissolve. Handle them with a lot of aggression and they will persist, that's for sure. So this is a caution you do need to adhere to. As we go along for Rahu in the Capricorn nakshatra, as we go along, in the for the Capricorn lagna, Rahu here is in your fifth house, and Rahu is a good friend for this nakshatra, for this lagna and its lagna lord. So this is a time, and when you would be seeing a lot of good happenings in your life. Probably your children would be moving into a different direction for you. You could be taking up studies which are very different, and yet they're very prosperous for you. And your luck, all of a sudden at given intervals, this transit would definitely see some Rahu antardasha, dasha, pratyantar dasha for you. And those timings, or when the moon is transiting over the Rahu nakshatras, those timings could be really good for you to uh, to uh, to capture the Rahu energy of Rahu moving into this sign of Taurus for you. There is time to build up concrete things and build your name, fame also. But a sincere request to you is, when you're investing in the share market, when you're investing in short term investments, please be very careful. Don't be lured by something that you think will give you a lot of money in a very short term period. That investment will fall flat and you wouldn't even recognize where you would be after that. So that's a disclaimer I would definitely like to put it for those who invest in short term goals with when Rahu is in your fifth house. And as we move ahead for Rahu in Aquarius, for Aquarius Lagna, Rahu is in your fourth house, a change of home. Your security issues and values could be undergoing a change. Don't resist that change. All you need to do is think, is that correct? Is that required? If yes, how can I move forward without causing a lot of commotion? Because again, the Mrigasira would always, one good thing about this deer is that it is tranquil most of the time. It, because it's in a herd, it keeps its power of observation, and it, when there is not much to do, it keeps sitting. So sit tight, watch the situation before you take a call. That is also very important. On your home front, the changes that you're expecting may not happen, but or they may happen all of a sudden. So go with the flow and take care of your mother. Depending on where moon is in your chart, this Rahu will definitely be more oriented for these people, because it's again, your ascendant is, Rahu is the ascendant lord, and when it travels through a particular house for the Aquarius Lagna, these houses definitely bear a change, and they bear to be recognized and treated as such. Finally, for the Aquarius Lagna, for the Pisces Lagna, Rahu is transiting in the third house. It's a time that calls for change in your subconscious mind, in your behavioral patterns, in your ability to take a call at a certain juncture in life. There is, third house is also about being rash and being very energy driven. Thankfully, this third house is a house, is an it's not an airy house, it is an earthy house, and it's a fixed sign. So you will not be probably as rash, but with the Rahu element working, you can further control this rashness, develop it into an insight, because Rahu, when activating on a higher level, also gives you a lot of insight. So you can develop it into an insight and you will be growing exponentially. Your thought process will widen up, your creativity will be working, will be growing leaps and bounds if you look into those areas instead of festering and creating issues with your near and dear ones, especially your friends and your brothers and sisters, siblings, or wasting your time traveling in directions that you have absolutely no work in. You will grow. But if you waste your time, then this is a very beautiful opportunity lost in a self growth, and also a monetary growth, and a growth in the direction of your creative talents that can at a later time bring in good results. So with this, we come to an end. My serious and sincere advice to all of you is that this Rahu transit can be very, very beautiful if we know how to stay stable and how to work on our gut instincts in the times of crisis. Till we meet again, stay safe, be happy. Thank you.